All right, so welcome to Drop the Mic, the Chamber podcast, where I, Moe Belliveau, the Executive Director for the East Hampton Chamber of Commerce, get to have conversations with members, local people of interest, entrepreneurs, and business folks, talking about who they are, what they do, and why they do it. That's the most important piece, is the why they do it. And I'm wicked excited today because for episode 3, our guest today is Tessa Murphy Romboletti.
Yes.
And she is the executive director for EForAll, formerly, or I should say perhaps evolved from the Spark program.
Yep. Absolutely. You got it.
In Holyoke, Massachusetts.
Yep.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Woman.
So excited to be here.
Tell me what is going on.
So many things.
So many things. So before we launch into everything, my question for you is, when you're in your hometown, going out to dinner, what is your go-to meal and where?
Oh, so my hometown's Holyoke. And I love to go out to dinner. I think these days I've really been into either sláinte.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Especially when they have music and all that good stuff. And I really like Holyoke hummus. I like to go there for lunch.
Yes. And all things in between.
Yes, absolutely.
What's your favorite thing over at Holyoke hummus?
Oh, I love the falafel Caesar. I actually like to take partial credit for that being on the menu because it wasn't. And
why?
Well, I used to just get the Caesar salad. And then one day I was like, I feel like I just need a little bit more protein.
I need a little falafel.
You know? So they were like, let's crumble up some falafel for you.
Yay.
And then I just kept ordering that. So, maybe it was a coincidence, but I like to think that
I
inspired that.
Of the culinary creation.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
So, woman, how the heck are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. You're
doing
just glowing
awesome.
today.
I know. I mean, I love being able to talk about what I do and why I do it. And I love being around you, so it's all good.
Ditto, baby.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it.
Cool.
Before we get off into EForAll, because that's an evolution.
Yep.
I want to know a little bit about you. Can you help our audience give a little snapshot of Tessa?
Yes.
What it means?
So I am Tessa, and I am actually from Holyoke. I grew up there, went through the Holyoke Public Schools, and I went to the University of Delaware after, very random, very random. My mom's best friend was teaching there.
Nice.
We used to go there when I was younger for Thanksgiving.
So that's not so random.
It's still pretty random. It's Delaware. Not a lot of people. A lot of people, when I told them, were like, oh, is that the capital of Maryland? I'm like, nah, not quite. But after graduating from college, I moved to New York for 5 minutes. It was actually 6 months.
A New York minute?
Yeah. I thought that was supposed to, what you're supposed to do after college.
Did you have the Mary Tyler Moore thing?
It was not as cool as that. No, it wasn't. It was interesting. I learned a lot. I realized that, it probably wasn't for me. And when I was in college, I had interned for Mayor Sullivan.
Okay.
And I immediately fell in love with local government, municipal government in particular. I liked helping people with their trash pickup if it didn't happen and all that.
That becomes a sticky wicket when the trash does
know,
not get picked up.
It does.
And people don't realize how fast that happens.
It's so true. And it's
a problem.
I really liked being in City Hall. And so when I was in New York, my friend from high school, I don't know if you've heard of him, Alex Morse.
Oh, perhaps.
Yes.
Perhaps.
So he was running for mayor, and we had known each other since middle school. And, he had won, and I was following it from New York. And we met up, and we're chatting, and one thing led to another, and he realized, he needed an executive assistant. And I had been in the mayor's office before and loved it.
Nice.
So I came back. I moved home.
Nice.
And
Good.
I've never looked back. I've never regretted that. And from there, I spent about 5 years at City Hall. And it was really in the mayor's office that I got to meet so many awesome business owners and, people who really, they weren't just business owners, they cared about the community. I saw them help out when it was needed. And I also saw the challenges that they were facing. And so I really enjoyed that part of the job. And I ended up moving to the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Okay.
Yep. And that allowed me to work closer with business owners and people, particularly who were interested in coming to Holyoke. We got people who literally drove by on the train and would call and say, I saw this city.
Really?
What are you guys doing? I looked you up on the internet. That actually happened once. It was incredible.
Wow.
And
That is incredible.
Yeah. And I think people, it was great because I had this front row view of, the early parts of all these big projects that were being done to hopefully attract private businesses to come to our city. And so with that, I also saw people who came to our office and had no idea where to start.
Yeah.
They wanted to start a business. They were thinking about it. And really, it was from there that Spark started.
Okay.
And the city had received a grant from the Boston Fed to start a program, an initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really the mayor's office that was like, we want this to be about entrepreneurship. We're seeing this pattern of there's all these people in our community who are being entrepreneurs and they don't have access to resources or networks.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we tap into that untapped potential?
Mm-hmm.
And Spark started. It was a program of the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
Our friend Kathy was leading the charge. And after a few more years in planning and economic development, the position opened up. I applied. I thought, gosh, I love this program.
And that wasn't too long ago.
No, that was
I remember when all of that was coming around.
It's probably been, this will be my 4th year.
Yeah, it hasn't been very long.
No, it hasn't.
So let's do, before we get to eSpark, EForAll, can give us a little bit of information about Spark itself?
Sure, yeah.
And what that is, and what it was intended to do.
Yep.
And it's way more involved, I think, than probably a lot of people who haven't been through the program realize.
Right. Yeah. So Spark, it was started in 2014, I believe. And that was really the goal was to offer this accelerator program, a class for people in our community, like I said, that were being entrepreneurial, but they're not typically represented in economic development.
And that was started via the chamber?
Yeah. So
in partnership with the city.
Yes.
Got it.
And we brought together all of these partners, basically anyone in the community, particularly Holyoke, but in the surrounding community as well, who provided something for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And that means, not just business advising, but also some of the people that we work with, they don't have access to computers and they've never used Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So we had folks like Mass Hire, who at the time was Career Point, and they have computer classes.
Yeah.
And then we brought in Holyoke Community College, and they offer ESOL classes. They offer ServSafe.
ESOL?
English as a second
Okay, thank you.
language. Training classes, and they have all of the different kind of certifications that you need if you're going into the food industry.
Right, which is crazy.
Right. So there were a lot of different partners at the table, even the library.
Nice.
They have a section in their library that has all of these different books just based strictly on business.
I love how, and I want to get into also what the Spark program was.
Yep.
As far as curriculum and stuff.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that so many organizations wanted to participate at some level
Yeah.
in getting this launched,
Yeah.
and getting entrepreneurs launched
Right.
in a well-rounded way,
Yeah.
as opposed to, well, here is a Excel class, here
Yeah.
is, and then it's like random all
Well,
over the place.
Exactly. That was the thing. That was the need that we were trying to address, was when someone would come into, whether it was the chamber or City Hall or SCORE in Springfield, there wasn't really a place to send people, and there wasn't this collaborative effort. And so, you know, you'd get kind of bounced around as an entrepreneur, and God forbid you don't speak English as a first language.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really about bringing all these partners together. We would meet once a month and really kind of just get a better sense of what everyone was offering. And we found out that, you know, there's like 3 EForAll classes. Do we really need 3?
Mm-hmm.
Can we partner, streamline the process?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was also about, you know, bringing in folks from City Hall, because the permitting process in Holyoke in particular, I'm sure it's, you know, kind of a headache in a lot of communities, but in Holyoke it was like, it was always the thing that got in the way of people taking that next step.
Right.
And just, so we wanted to.
Well, it's just like, you know, you call up, even like say your insurance company, right?
Yeah.
And now you're trapped in this loop,
Right.
this email,
Yeah.
not email, but this voice connecting
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
And it's not intended necessarily
Right.
to
No.
be that. It just
No.
ends up being that.
Right,
And bounced
exactly.
around and yeah.
And so we really wanted to be able to create something so that no matter where a person entered, they would know that there was this entrepreneurship program that would help them navigate all of those different entities.
Mm-hmm.
So it took about, took 3 years of meeting monthly for us to really establish that kind of an ecosystem in the community, so that it wasn't like we were competing anymore.
Right.
It was more like, let's triage this entrepreneur and share information and share resources,
Right.
so that it benefits all of us.
Right.
When someone who's coming to us is taking advantage of the other things that exist.
So rather than everybody driving randomly down
Yeah.
the road, you've got this one super highway.
Yeah.
And you're
Right.
like going somewhere now.
Yeah,
All right. So
exactly.
now tell me about Spark itself. And
Yeah. So
what made that unique? And then we'll transition into EForAll.
So we used a curriculum that was called Co-Starters. We licensed that curriculum. And what it did was really kind of walked people through the business model canvas, which is essentially, people think of a business plan. It's very formal. It's what a bank needs to see, right? That's great.
It's not the only piece.
No. And before you get to that point, you really want to actually just have a map of all of that. So that's what we were trying to have people figure out, was who's your customer? What's the problem you're solving? You cannot solve a problem that doesn't exist. So what's the problem you're solving, and why are people coming to you rather than other people? And then we talk about, how are you getting your message out there? Who are the members of your team? And, what is, like, how are you going to charge people for this? How are you going to make money, right? So we went through, at the time, Spark was a 9-week program. And we met once a week for 3 hours on Tuesday nights. And it was good. We had 10 cohorts go through that program. And a lot of them are still in business.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, they're, we have like Upscale Socks, Lenny Underwood.
Yeah.
He is still like killing it. Hot Oven Cookies,
Right.
Shayla Kuhn, Dawn Cordero from Holyoke Hummus.
I was just going to say that. Weren't they?
She was in, I think, one of the first cohorts.
Yeah. Life Booch, were they a part of Spark, or were they part of EForAll?
They were part of EForAll.
Okay, we'll get there then.
Yeah. And we actually have some people who have gone through Spark and then also gone through EForAll.
Okay.
So that's kind of a cool perspective as well to see. But, we had a lot of, it's always been early stage entrepreneurs, people who might just have an idea, but they've done some research. They've done, they're serious about it. But
well, it's obvious that they're serious about it because they're willing to put in 9 weeks of their life, 3 hours times 9, and it's not, I don't want to. It's not a hobby. It's something that they love.
And at the
but they're
time,
willing to put the skin in the game.
Right. And at the time with Spark, we were actually charging people to take the program.
Okay.
Which was interesting. I mean, it's it's.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
The practice of like you've got some skin in the game,
exactly.
Right?
How serious are you?
Yeah. But we've seen which we'll talk about with EForAll, that there's other ways to kind of invest yourself.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting part of the whole thing was we would bring in these guest speakers for the 9 weeks, and we'd have a facilitator helping out with the class, and then after the 9 weeks is over with, it was always hard to know what to do next. Now that they've gone through, they've got this knowledge and these resources, how can we keep engaging with them? How do we stay connected to know that they're still being supported by the ecosystem? And so that was always a challenge, but it's still a challenge, I think, but that some of the changes in our model,
or is
have
it
really
another
addressed
level
that.
of that challenge?
It's another level for sure. Yeah, definitely. Because, you want to, these are folks that really need hand-holding. And so how do you provide that in a supportive way, but also just giving them that push that they really need?
Yep. That little nudge.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yep.
Let's go.
That love.
So, EForAll.
Yeah.
Tell me, I first heard of EForAll actually through Mayor LaChapelle.
Okay.
Her first term, I believe it was, she came back from a conference.
The summit, yeah.
And she was charged up. And she's been charged up ever since. And
I love it.
I do too. And it's been very exciting. And so she shared that information with me, and I was like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I went to a summit, I think it was a summit, like a year ago.
Yeah.
And I was really excited and amazed and blown away, and realized that you were making this transition. So tell us, share your story about that.
It was around the time, so we had this 3-year grant from the Boston Fed to make Spark happen, right? And the grant was coming to an end as I took over.
That's always convenient.
Yeah, I had a great union job at City Hall. And I was like, no, I want to run this nonprofit because I really believe in the mission.
Right.
So that was a little terrifying. But we had secured additional grant funding to allow us to have another year. And that year, we really wanted to look at our plan for sustainability. And is this something that we can continue? I had always felt like the program was awesome, but there were a few things that were lacking. And I also felt like the systems, while we had accomplished so much, the systems weren't in place so that, if I felt like if I left.
Yeah, I get that.
Or if Kathy left, right, which she did,
right,
then it might not be there. And I had seen that there was just such a need for this program. So we started really thinking about who else is out there, what are people doing? And I had heard about EForAll from Marcos, who is my boss in planning and economic development, and he just raved about them. At the time, they were in Lowell, Lawrence, Lynn, Fall River, and New Bedford.
I was on your website. There's a lot.
Yes.
There's many.
Yes, and they're similar cities to Holyoke and Springfield, gateway cities that, just don't have as much resources available for entrepreneurs, and just the population of people that really need support.
Right.
So I had heard about them, and Marcos raved about them, and then I actually went to the summit 3 years ago.
Yep.
For the first time. And like you, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is such an inclusive, diverse group of people.
So speaking of diverse, E4All, what does this mean?
Entrepreneurship for all.
Right. Access
for everyone.
Right. Accessibility.
We really believe that entrepreneurship is the best way to bring people out of economic challenges and gain financial independence and rebuild communities. While some communities may rely on, they're waiting for that Amazon to come in or the next big thing, we know that that's not realistic,
right?
And it's not what works. And so it's really about, no matter what your background is, no matter how much money you have, you should be able to start a business. So that was our belief under Spark, and that was what I really liked about E4All, was that it had that same mission.
So it captured your attention that way.
Yeah, definitely. Just inclusive entrepreneurship, like actual grassroots work. So it took about a year. We started having conversations with E4All, and I was very skeptical because it seems like way too good to be true.
Right.
There's this entrepreneurship program that's doing something very similar to what I'm already doing.
Right.
They have a bit more resources. They definitely have better name recognition.
Right.
They have the experience. They've learned what works, what doesn't work.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, where's the catch?
Right. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you're running Spark.
Yeah.
And you developed this. It is your baby, right?
Yeah.
And so you're starting to you've been introduced to E4All, and you're starting to think like light bulbs are going on, right? Mm-hmm. However, how risky, my
what a risk.
My relationship with Women in the Art of Risk. So how, being a woman, you've created this thing, and not by yourself necessarily,
no, not
but
at all.
you're in partnership, but you were leading the charge. And tell me about that, how that risk felt to you.
That was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because after doing a lot of research, I came to the point where I was like, this is the right choice. This is what we need to do. Mm-hmm. And there were people
to keep moving that forward and to make it sustainable and to make it a living reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to just be able to provide a model that really works, and that we're not just doing this, we're not operating in a vacuum like an island on our own. And being at the Chamber was wonderful, but chambers don't exist to run entrepreneurship programs. And so there was always this challenge of resources, and I
think it was a beautiful opportunity for the Holyoke Chamber to help create the nurturing environment for that to percolate, coalesce, and then say
and I think
launch it into the world. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Eventually we got to the point where Kathy Anderson was saying, this was our baby. Now it's time for the baby to leave the nest.
I know, right?
Go let it fly, right?
So Kathy.
I know. And it's true, It's like, but it was the whole time I'm like, God, I hope this is the right decision. And I was meeting one-on-one with every stakeholder, answering all their questions, just because I understood that they had concerns, because I had the same concerns. Like, who's this out of town Lowell? Like, people thought it was Boston. And I'm like, no. Lowell's a little different.
Right.
And, it was, and then it took, like, we did a lot of field trips out there to see what their programming looked like. And, it took about a year. And every now and then in the back of my head, I'd be like, God, I really hope I'm not making the wrong decision.
So tell me tell me the moment that for you realized, yes, I made the right decision. We're moving forward. And
I think it was our first pitch contest.
Okay. And when was that?
So that was October of 2018.
And for those who don't understand what a pitch contest is, tell me what that is.
So it's not cards. That's what people have. They're like, I think that's a Western Mass thing too.
I don't know.
Where they're like, pitch, like the card game. No, it's not cards. It's like you're pitching your elevator pitch.
Right.
So think like Shark Tank.
Yep.
But without the teeth. It's not as scary. There's no investments being made.
It is scary.
It's not as scary. I said it's not as scary
as being chewed on upon by a shark. You're absolutely right. But it's very scary.
Right.
It does induce the fight or flight response.
For sure. So we do pitch contests, which is something similar that we were doing with Spark.
So I have a question regarding those pitch contests.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I'm not sure you're still doing this, but I know that you were doing soup.
Yeah, Holyoke soup.
Now, how does that all tie in? Does it still tie in?
So we
and is
actually,
that a pitch?
That was pretty much a pitch contest.
Okay.
And that was one of my things when I was
I love that.
exploring
I'm gonna go and have soup.
I know. Holyoke soup was great because we actually stole that idea from Detroit. They
Nice.
do Detroit soup.
Why reinvent the wheel? You don't need to do that. It's all happening.
And I actually just met the woman who runs it, and she's wonderful.
And
so,
you know what? I feel like it's all happening. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not us?
Right.
Why not Holyoke? Why not East Hampton?
Yeah,
Why not?
Exactly. And we saw, I think they did it in Greenfields recently, the soup.
Nice.
So I love when it catches on, you know?
Right.
And so it was good because it was really about sharing ideas and just getting people, like, bringing the community out there. You'd make a donation, and then you'd get soup, salad, and bread, and then you'd get a token to vote, and you got to vote for your favorite.
Cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But the prize money, let's be real.
Right. It was low.
It was pretty low.
Yeah. So you morphed into...
When we did the transition, it was like, okay, we're not going to do Holyoke soup anymore. We're going to do these pitch contests. But the pitch contests are actually, very similar, but different in a good way.
Yeah.
So we still have like that first hour of networking. And what we do differently is each entrepreneur has a table, and they're tabling their business idea. So you apply in advance for our pitch contest. And then we have volunteers read applications. So you're getting feedback from people throughout the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
We select 6 of those applicants to pitch that night.
Mm-hmm.
Then for the folks that didn't get selected, we invite them to table. So when you're there tabling, then the audience gets to choose their favorite table.
Uh-huh. In addition to the pitch that's actually up in front.
In addition to the 6 people who are going to pitch.
Delivering their...
So then an extra person who wasn't selected will get chosen. And then we take everyone else who didn't get picked, we put their name in a hat, and we pull out the wild card. So in total, we have 8 contestants pitching.
That night?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So the people, the folks that are tabling are like, oh man, Tessa.
Yeah.
Can you, how else could you pile on the stress?
Yeah, right. It keeps you on your toes. And that first hour of networking is such a good opportunity for people to get feedback about their idea. We have people do surveys, like which logo do you like? Some people do raffles. You can sell your stuff at the table. So it's just a really good opportunity. If you're someone who's got an idea and you don't even know if it's a good idea, this is a good first step to figure out if it's a good idea.
So that's pre-EForAll, or is that part of the EForAll umbrella?
That's now part of the EForAll umbrella.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so for me, when we had our first pitch contest, I had gone to another pitch contest in Lynn to see what it was like. And that was when I was like, this is going to be really cool. If we can make this happen in Holyoke, this will be great.
Don't you find it's so key, so important to travel out of your home, home base?
Yes.
And that's,
people make jokes that I spontaneously combust if I leave Holyoke. But
I know, right?
I'm here in East Hampton today, and I'm still doing great.
Right.
But it is so important to learn from other communities, especially communities that have similar challenges to gateway cities.
Right.
And what are they doing that works? Mm-hmm. What's not working?
I even find it interesting, have been to the national, it's called the ACE conference. So it's the Association for Executive.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
Chamber of Commerce Executives.
Yes.
And I was blown away that, there are chambers that exist. I mean, I don't know why I didn't think this, but was like a frying pan on the head. It was like, oh my God, there's like multiple thousands of members within there. I mean, they're that big. And I'm like, okay, I can't even comprehend that.
Right.
But, you know what I mean? So it's really been enlightening for me to get out of my home base.
And it's humbling. It's good. You know, that's healthy.
And it's really nice too, because I don't know if this has been your experience, but I've had, encouragement, you're on the right track.
Yep. Right.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what was interesting about this transition was EForAll had been, they had been expanding into different communities, but they had never gone into a community that already had something established. And so the people that we had, the partnership that we had was rightfully protective over this baby that they've had. And so EForAll was also understanding of the fact that like what works in one community might not always work in the other.
Exactly.
But like, let's be open to that and be willing to see what works and what doesn't work. And when we eventually transitioned, Cape Cod had just opened a site. So there's a program in the Cape that serves the entire region.
Wow, that's giant.
Huge.
Yeah, that's a big.
Right. So they have to do things differently than what we do in Holyoke. And they don't have their classes in the summer because that's the most busy time.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
So even though you're based in Holyoke, that doesn't mean it's just for Holyoke entrepreneurs.
No.
So I'm going to share with our viewers, I shared this with you a while back. I'm just had come, just starting to make my way through Chamber World, and I'm walking by a local laundromat, and I look in the window and I see this pamphlet for Spark, and I'm like, what the heck? What's going? Who put the? I went in there and I'm like, and I just put it back down, and then I met you, and you're like, oh yeah, that's because.
Yeah.
So share with that.
That's so funny. It was
very funny.
It was actually my boyfriend that put that
there.
Yeah. That's all right. I like that story. He likes that story.
I know, you sent him out on a mission.
I did. He does some outreach for me. No, so it was, I think when we were at the chamber, we were a bit more Holyoke centric because it was this grant opportunity that had been awarded to Holyoke, to the Holyoke Chamber, and that was good. And but I think everyone can agree that a rising tide lifts all ships.
Totally.
And there's this weird thing in Western Mass where it's like, it's like whether it's the tofu curtain or if it's the whatever, there's this kind of, Springfield's 20 minutes away. Gosh. And it's like, no, guys, we can, I'm guilty of it myself sometimes, but it's like, it's Western Mass, it's the Pioneer Valley. Yep. And for me, I always felt like we were limiting ourselves just being Holyoke based because when you're looking for partners, there's people who can help that are not just in Holyoke. And when there's entrepreneurs all around the community.
Absolutely.
And
I'm so excited because I met, and they are a member, Life Booch.
Yeah.
They're here in East Hampton. They went through your program.
Yep.
And
and
bravo.
The thing is,
it's so solid. It's a solid start.
Yeah. And they're Holyoke residents.
Yeah.
Right? So that's great. We're helping a Holyoke family.
Yep.
And we're also helping a neighboring community.
Absolutely. And if we're not all thriving, we're all struggling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think, especially once we transitioned to EForAll, it was more about, inviting people from throughout the Pioneer Valley, whether it's people who want to volunteer with us or actually take our program. At the same time, we're still 55% of our participants are Holyoke residents. And of course, I'm a Holyoke girl, so I'll try to encourage people to open their business in Holyoke as much as I can. But that's not to say if it doesn't work out in Holyoke, I don't want your business to succeed.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the alternative.
Right.
So I think it's just a matter of getting people to understand that when we're all doing well, it helps one another.
Mm-hmm.
So,
girl, I just adore that smile, your passion for all things entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And your willingness to, your drive to just be helpful in a real way, as opposed to providing something that's not really doesn't have any meaning.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's really amazing to me. I want to know, what is the drive? What is the thing that gets you out of bed? Because I envision you, once you get past the little yawn, you're like, let's go do this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what is that gets you out of that bed?
Well,
and I know you were out of bed because I texted you this morning. I don't know what time it was.
You did text me wicked early. I was like, okay, Mo, I see you. I love it. My kind of girl.
Right?
There's a lot of things that motivate me, but I mean, entrepreneurs, I love being around entrepreneurs.
Why? What is it?
It's this, they have something that's different from everyone else, where they have this like internal motivation. Whether it's, no matter what their motivation is, they have the ability to hear no and then just go to the next thing and try to figure out how to make that work.
Turn that no into a yes.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, like everyone runs into hard times and everything, but I think especially the population that we're working with. So a lot of the people that we work with are low to moderate income individuals. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, for better or for worse, they figured out how to do a lot with a little. Mm-hmm. And that has always like really motivated me to help them, because I know how many things are out there that could help them. Mm-hmm. And just knowing that they have this drive to make things happen because they don't have any other option. Mm-hmm. That is like so contagious for me. Mm-hmm. And I just, the bravery that it takes to like to be an entrepreneur is super admirable. Like I've always been impressed with that. And, you know, I think I also definitely am very invested in seeing Holyoke succeed. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I take the wins very near to my heart, and I take the losses very near to my heart. And I feel like if I can change the way that people see Holyoke as a good place to do business and as somewhere where people want to help, and, you know, we have this resource available, then that for me is, there's nothing better to, like, when I think about the Mike from Kombucha, Life Pooch, really shy guy when he came to us. I mean, he says it all the time.
He was more shy?
He was so shy. Now, oh my gosh.
Really? At
graduation, at our showcase and celebration, I mean, I saw him walk up to a group of strangers and just start talking about his business. Like that, the confidence that people get from being supported and like having other people support their business. I mean, it's like the best part of my job is you're seeing people open a business, and that's awesome, but you're seeing them change as a person.
Right. And I just love seeing, like, so you know, and you've nurtured them from beginning to where they are now. And that's really a really beautiful thing. So when you go into a retail space and you see their product, you're like, yes.
Yeah. Like
give me 10.
I'm like a soccer mom. Like for Christmas, I bought, 15 bottles of everything sauce and like 7 bottles of kombucha. And like, I'm just so proud to see they came to us with an idea and they've been able to grow it.
Nice. Where do you think that, I don't even know what to call it within you, that desire to connect with that comes from?
That's a good question. I have always, I feel like, been really passionate about community and like building communities. And, when I was younger and I used to wake up like at the crack of dawn, like a lot of children do. And I think my parents eventually got to this point where it's 6 o'clock in the morning. You need to stop. Just don't wake us up yet.
Right.
Occupy yourself. So I would set up a tag sale and I'd just take things from all over. I'd grab the remote control or the coffee mug.
Like a real tag sale?
Just in my house.
Oh, okay. Because that would not be, I can imagine that might create a
That would
problem.
that'd be really messed up if I just started selling stuff. But it was my own tag sale.
Okay, I got it.
It was my own tag sale in my parents' house. And, I feel like I've always liked doing that kind of stuff. And really, I've always loved being from Holyoke and Western Mass. And I feel like we have so much potential. And I think leaving was a good thing for me. Going to Delaware, going to New York for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because then it was like, we have so many amazing things here.
I know.
I think, especially young people, like when we graduate from college, it's like we have to go somewhere and save the world and, like make a big difference. And I quickly realized that like, nope, I can be in my backyard and literally like change the path that our community is going on.
And doesn't that go back to, focus on your own backyard? Make the changes within your immediate area, and that just ripples out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What defines success for you?
I think being able to say that you've done everything with either your own interest at heart, you've made all of the right decisions, and you've done what you think is right. And I don't see success as this big thing where it's like making a lot of money, or, I mean, that'd be nice one day, but I don't see it as doing anything like huge. If you can look back on the decisions that you've made professionally, personally, and can say that I've done that with integrity, and I've done what I think is right, and I've learned from things, and I can admit when I've made mistakes, like that, I think is what being successful is really about.
Mm-hmm. Is there a time where you can recall one of your, I hate to use this word, but failures, but when something just didn't work out the way you had planned, but
yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is there an example of that, or?
Yeah, I think going back to when we were at Spark, we had these, we got grants from the Community Development Block Grant Fund, and they were used to go directly to entrepreneurs. You could get up to $10,000, right? Pretty awesome. However, we were running it. I was running it. I was running this grant program while I should have been running an entrepreneurship program. And I look at that like, man, that was not the best way to do it. And we've learned from it.
Yeah.
The city, those grants still exist.
Right.
We're not running it anymore.
Right.
Someone from the city is running it.
Right.
And the grants helped people do really amazing stuff. That was the money that Shayla Kuhn from Hot Oven Cookies used to actually build out her food truck.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And we've seen other entrepreneurs that have taken advantage of these small grants. The grants themselves are great.
Was that a matching grant?
No.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was, it was a good opportunity, and it's helped people, right?
Yeah.
But my mistake was allowing it to be on my plate for so long.
Yeah. And
not saying someone else should be running this.
Right.
This isn't the best fit for us because it's getting in the way of the programming.
Right.
So it's kind of a failure because
but sometimes you can't, when you're in it, you don't know it.
Right.
But it's good that you've been able to reflect back and say, maybe next time if that situation arises, I can say,
right,
this really isn't the best.
Now I know.
For both of those situations.
For any nonprofit leader, it's like you get grant opportunities all the time, and you have to think about what is the best use of your time so that you're not,
anybody,
you're not chasing the money. You're finding grants that work for your mission.
Yep.
And that was a really important lesson to learn.
What's your superpower?
What's my superpower?
Yeah.
I really love public speaking. Yeah, I like to MC things. I like to host things.
Nice.
I have a lot of fun with it. I've hosted the mayor's inaugural ball a couple times,
Nice.
and that's like accidentally turned into a roast. So I like that. It's fun. It's a healthy roast.
Those scare me.
I know.
Scared.
I
I'm
know.
like, oh, please.
But everyone knows that because it's me.
Right.
It comes from a place of love,
Right.
you know. So I don't mind public speaking, and I feel like I feel comfortable doing that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So I'm very grateful that it comes naturally to me, because I know it terrifies people to do that. And I see people like my entrepreneurs, they have to, do their pitch. And I'm like, oh, guys, it's fine. They're like, no, you get up there and you make it look so easy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, it's practice.
Yeah.
It's like anything else.
Yeah.
So your superpower. Oh, and before we sign off, I want to know. I want you to share with everyone your new space.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's really my baby.
Yeah.
A baby that took like 2.5 years.
Yeah. So you're independent. Well, I shouldn't say that. So you had your humble beginnings with Spark in the Chamber, and that has grown and evolved, and you're EForAll.
Yep.
And now you have your own space, which is just down the street from the Chamber.
Yeah,
on
actually,
High Street.
same block. Yep. And
Same side.
Same side. Yeah. And that was really actually a big part in our transition. Was we had received this grant from Mass Development prior to becoming EForAll. And we were already underway with using that grant to build out a collaborative workspace. So EForAll was kind of like, well, you've already got this grant. Go for it. This isn't something we typically do. Right? So, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. So then it was a matter of actually overseeing the project and the grant, all of this stuff. And I have zero experience with any of this. So I had a wonderful contractor who taught me all of the things.
Very nice.
I learned a lot about HVAC and plumbing and just everything I really never thought I would know.
Yes, but it's going to come in handy.
It will.
Over the rest of your life.
It will. You're absolutely right. I keep telling myself that. I think I'm still recovering.
I will, yeah.
But
construction's not for the light.
No, it's really not.
The faint of heart.
No. And so we were fortunate to have a property owner who was willing, because the grant that we had was a 1-to-1 match. So we had to get a lot of things donated or in kind. And so we have a wonderful property owner who owns a lot of spaces on that block. And with the help of awesome vendors and my contractor, we were able to open the space in November.
Nice.
Of 2019.
Yay. And so now within that space, you have classroom space.
Yes.
You have co-work space.
Yes.
You have an office.
Sort of. I have a printer, and that's what's amazing. So we have, the front is really the open area where people this is where we do classes, and then we have there's actual desk space. And then we have a couple of nooks in the back where people can do work. And then we have a conference room that seats 6.
Nice.
And has an HDMI hookup to a monitor that's giant. So I would say, you have all different types of co-working spaces.
Yep.
You have the Cadillac of co-work spaces, which has just got all the bells and whistles,
right?
Private rooms, all that good stuff. I like to consider us the Buick of co-work spaces.
Yeah.
We're there. If you want to pay a membership, you can get 24/7 access to the space. You can register your business there.
Nice.
You can meet with clients there. And we offer 6 months free to our entrepreneurs who are in our program.
Nice.
So that they can really just have a space to do work.
So entrepreneurs who are perhaps listening or viewing, where can they, and they're interested in knowing more about the program and what that is and how they can be involved, where do they find you in the program?
Yep. So our website is EForAll, FORALL, .org. and you'll see the locations, and you just click on the drop down and you'll find Holyoke. But we're also in the Berkshires. We're in Roxbury, Lawrence. So you can find us all over Massachusetts.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to email me, it's holyoke@eforall.org.
Tessa. So, are you a reader?
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
Becoming. I haven't read it yet. Michelle Obama.
Right.
Yeah. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't read it yet.
So it's waiting for you.
Well, I'm halfway through.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Nice.
I love her.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then my last question before I let you go is that you have a soundtrack for your life,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah.
Tell me the one song that absolutely has to be on it.
It's got to be something Beyonce. Yeah, we might as well just go with that one. Girls.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tessa Murphy, Romboletti. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
chatting
much
with
for
me.
having me and for doing this. It's so awesome.
And I want to thank Ryan Arnold for helping us film today.
Killing
and
it, Ryan.
And Jen Ramsey and her team at East Hampton Media, which is the partnership that helps put us out into the world.
Thank you, guys.
Collects it together and makes us look really good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yay.